The day it started, I thought it was going to be one of those small-town annoyances you laugh about later until it wasn't. Chloe, I'll call her Chloe, stood up in the HOA meeting like she owned the room, and in 3 sentences, she made it clear she thought she owned my backyard too. I smiled, tried to keep it light, and that was my first mistake. I moved here for a quiet corner of the world. Maple Street felt like the kind of place where people waved when you mowed the lawn. My backyard pool was simple, built by my hands over 2 summers, a place for friends and quiet evenings. When Maria, our neighbor, asked to bring a few friends over, I said no. It was my property, and that should have been the end of it. Chloe disagreed. Chloe had the title of HOA president and the confidence that comes with it. At the meeting she framed community needs like an ultimatum, and when I held my ground, she took it personally. A week later, I came home and found wet footprints on my deck, a towel in the pool. My camera showed her their sunglasses on, laughing, as if she'd simply assumed the place belonged to everyone. I tried the quiet approach first. I knocked on her door with the footage, calm as I could manage. This was my backyard, I said. She smiled like she was deflecting a complaint. I thought the pool was a community amenity, she said. I showed her the clip. She didn't apologize. Instead, she sighed about making a fuss and told me, oddly, I should be thankful she was helping the community. That's when things shifted from petty to personal. Chloe started circulating emails suggesting my pool rules were selfish. Little notes appeared on porches about fair access, and someone dropped a petition in mailboxes that smelled faintly like organization. The gossip did the slow work of bending neighbors' opinions, and I realized quiet wouldn't cut it this time. So I responded, but I refused to stoop to rumors. I organized a small viewing, no theatrics, just a projector in a backyard, folding chairs, some people who were tired of the half-truths. Chloe showed up, confident, ready to perform. I played the footage. For 20 minutes the projector hummed, and the neighborhood watched a woman who had treated my property like a public park. When the grainy clip showed Chloe stepping into my pool, the room shifted. People leaned in, phones out, eyebrows up. A security camera down the street had caught her car at 2 in the morning the night before the towels showed up. Timestamps lined up. When I played those clips, the waiver became a lean the other way. The officers who came later were methodical. They took statements, looked at timestamps, and filed a report. Evidence has a way of flattening drama into facts, and that mattered. That knock on her dormy heart was thudding like I'd been caught sneaking out in high school. I rehearsed lines in the car, which is both pathetic and normal, and then I walked up her porch like an adult trying to settle an argument. People always act like confrontation will be this huge fireworks display. In real life, it's rarely like that. It's small talk gone sour, the polite smile that never reaches someone's eyes. She opened the door, and for a second I looked at the house, perfectly trimmed hedges, a mailbox with fresh paint, a front porch light that made everything look like a postcard. She took that brief second to size me up, to find the moment to put me back in my place. You shouldn't be doing this, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. This is my yard, Chloe. You can't just— She cut me off with a laugh, the kind of laugh that sits on contempt like a shawl. You're worse than you think, she said. We're neighbors. We should share. Share doesn't mean take, I said. Share means ask. Ask, she repeated, like it was a new word to her. Or you could be part of the community. Her mouth had that slight curl. She knew exactly how to make things personal without needing to shout. When the projector night came, the street smelled like lemon from the market, and there was a low hum of conversation. People brought folding chairs, a couple of coolers, someone tossed a dog blanket on the grass. I set up the laptop and tried not to think about how ridiculous it felt to be a one-person jury. We dimmed the lights, and the footage played flicker, grain, Chloe stepping through my gate like it was a parade entrance. The silence after the clip finished was the kind of silence that fills a room heavier than any argument. Chloe's attempt to flip the story was as practiced as a politician's deflect. She started using words like harassment and targeted, and because she knew a lot of people through committees and fundraisers, some of them reached for sympathy. I remember one neighbor, Linda, who'd been on the board with Chloe for years, shifting in her seat and saying, "Maybe we should be kinder." It was the kind of plea that sounds good in a church hall but thin when placed against timestamps. The officers took their time. They were careful, and thank God for that. The lead officer, a woman named Sergeant Ruiz, asked me to walk through the timeline. I did, step by step, without drama. She watched the clips and nodded. No theatrics, just a professional eye. We'll file a report, she said. We'll follow up if needed. It was less of a climax and more of a ledger. Dates, times, statements, signatures. But it mattered because it turned gossip into paperwork. After the hearing, if you can call a meeting about lawn etiquette a hearing, Chloe tried to paint herself as the misunderstood heart of the community. She pointed to bake sales she'd sponsored, the emails where she helped seniors with groceries, and people remembered those things, of course. It's easier to forgive a face you know from potlucks than a grainy clip on a projector. The HOA didn't expel her. They rewrote a few bylaws and issued reminders about access and consent. The neighborhood adjusted its rules, but it didn't mend everything. What surprised me wasn't the report. It was how messy the aftermath felt. Chloe didn't disappear. She didn't resign in a cloud of shame. Instead, the neighborhood changed, edges, alliances shifted, conversations grew careful. I felt vindicated, yeah, but I also felt the cost. Publicly exposing someone leaves marks on a place and on people. The pool was still mine, and my boundaries were respected, but the texture of porch talk had changed. There's a bruise after a scuff. People remember the scrape more than the healing. I caught myself replaying moments, wondering if I could have handled it softer or smarter, if choosing evidence over whisper had been the kind of honesty that heals, or the kind that hurts to prove a point. I thought a lot about power after that. Power in a neighborhood isn't always the title on a letterhead. Sometimes it's the person who knows how to dress a favor, who runs the bake sale, who appears in every newsletter. Chloe had built a persona: volunteer, organizer, friendly face, and used it to smooth over corners when it suited her. I had a camera and the patience to let evidence do the talking. Neither of those things made me a saint. Sometimes at night, I stand at my window and watch the pool under the moon. It looks the same, water moving slow, faint reflections of streetlights, but I see it differently. It feels like a small island now, which is both comforting and lonely. There are victories that are quiet. There are victories that require you to weigh the price of being right against the cost of being the person who told the story out loud. I don't pretend it's simple. If there's a takeaway, it's this: community is messy, and rules are only as good as how people honor them. Titles and charm can cover a lot of behavior, but they don't make it right. If you're thinking about standing up in your own life, consider how you'll do it. Will you collect your facts quietly, or will you lean on noise? Will you try to repair afterward, or will you let the wound fester for the sake of a point? There's no easy rubric, only what feels like integrity to you. So I'll ask you, have you dealt with someone like Chloe? Did you stand your ground, or did you find a quieter way? Was the fallout worth it? Drop a comment, tell your story, and weigh in. Did I handle it the right way, or did I make the problem bigger? If you like this, share it with someone who lives in a small neighborhood, and hit subscribe if you want more true-to-life conflicts told straight. What would you have done?